Namaste, welcome to Geeta's Kitchen. In today's video, I thought I will give the present generation or the beginners a very basic idea about this Mahalaya Paksha or Pitru Paksham and Mahalaya Amavasya and what is the significance of this in Hinduism. So basically, every year we know has 12 months, and in each month is divided again into two fortnights, that is depending on the waxing and waning of the moon. So there is the bright fortnight and the dark fortnight. The bright fortnight is from the new moon day to the full moon day, which is Purnima or Paurnami, either way you can call it, which is today is Purnima. And again from Purnima, the next 15 days, that fortnight is the dark fortnight from the full moon to the new moon or the Amavasya day. This happens every month. But in this particular month, which is the Bhadrapada month of the Hindu calendar, this 15 day or this Paksha, the dark fortnight is called as Krishna Paksha, the bright fortnight is called as Shukla Paksha. So this Krishna Paksha of this particular month has got a great significance in Hinduism. The thing is that these 15 days is also known as Pitru Paksham. It is believed that our Pitrus, that is our ancestors, come back to the earth and bless us, live among us actually, and bless us during this 15-day period. And hence it is the duty of every Hindu to offer his respect and oblations to his ancestors during this period, which culminates on the Amavasya, which is known as the Mahalaya Amavasya, which falls on the 28th of September. So after the Mahalaya Amavasya, the next day onwards, we start celebrating Navratri, which is for the Devas. These 15 days are for the Pitrus or our ancestors. Now, why do we need to do this? Why do we need to make these offerings to our Pitrus or ancestors? And how is it connected to the waxing and waning of the moon? To put it very simply, see, all of us take very good care of our bodies, okay, our physical bodies. We see to it that we eat nutritious food or we do exercise and maintain a good physique. But what about our minds? Our mind is also equally important or even more important for happiness. A man may have any amount of wealth or property or anything else, but unless he has peace of mind, one doesn't really call him as a happy person. So, what one wants, even though you may not be a very rich person or may not have a lot of wealth, what we really require is happiness. And this is one thing which every human being on earth strives for, and that is happiness, irrespective of his status in life. Now, this happiness is actually a state of the mind. So, in order to be happy, one very important thing we need is the blessings of our ancestors, which contribute to this happiness. So, these 15 days is also a kind of a thanksgiving, a gratitude which we show to our ancestors, and in turn, they give us their blessings, which endows us with happiness not only for ourselves, for our family, success in ventures, and also the health of the coming generations, the progeny, the people, childless couples. You perform the Tarpana on these 15 days during the Pitru Paksha, you will see the benefits. And if people are suffering from some ill health or any other problems in life, very often it is stated that performing a Tarpana or the oblations during this Paksha, the Pitru Paksha, is very, very beneficial to all. Every day we need to do our daily puja to our Ishta Devata. It may be just a simple recitation of a 2 or 3 line shloka, or it may be an elaborate puja which you perform with Abhishekam and Alankaram, whatever it may be. But a simple daily puja is what we are all required to do. This puja is for the Devas. Now, apart from this, we are also have some you can call it as a repayment or debt or a form of gratitude towards our Pitrus or our ancestors. Now, who are these Pitrus? These Pitrus are nobody other than our own parents. That is, we are referring to people who are no more in this world. Maybe it's our parents, our grandparents, those who lived with us like ordinary people, people whom we have interacted with. We have known them for so many years, and today they are no longer present in the physical form around us in this Bhuloka. But their Atma, that their soul is still present around us, and it is on this Mahalayam that all these souls congregate together and come to live along with their families and bless them during this Paksha or during this period. So every day in this 15-day period is a Punya Kalam where we offer Tithi or rites towards our ancestors who have passed away. So each, depending on the Tithi which they passed away on or any other particular Tithi, you can perform these rites for your ancestors and also on the Mahalaya Amavasya day. When our elders, our parents were present around us in this world, we took very good care of them. We gave them food and water. So also during this Pitru Paksha, they may not be there in the physical form, but they are still there in the Atma or the spiritual form. That time again, it is our duty to offer them food and water in the form of till, and till is the sesame seeds and water. This is all. It's a very, very simple thing. And pinda, or that is rice balls. So only even if you offer just sesame seeds and water, telling their name, that is the Sharma name and the Gotra, that is enough for them. They are very, very pleased and they bless you with a lot of happiness. This duty has been prescribed to us by the Dharma Shastras and the Vedas. So even if we look at a study of the Ramayana, when Rama was in the forest, when he was banished from the kingdom and he was living his 14 years in the forest, and when he came to know that his father Dasharatha had passed away, then immediately he performs the Shraddha ceremony for Dasharatha and continues it in the forest during his 14-year-long stay, even though there were not many facilities available for him, but with whatever is available, he did it. And Rama is an avatar which shows you how an ideal man should live his life, as an ideal son, an ideal brother, and so on. So here this ideal son has shown us the way that we should also perform this Shraddha for our ancestors. The credit for observing these rituals very religiously and faithfully, I should say, goes definitely to our previous generations, because this is not something which has been started just a year back or 10 years ago. This has been coming down from time immemorial as prescribed in the Shastras, and every generation has been following it successfully or successively too. So this has to be followed even in the present generation also, because nothing much has really changed. Many of us might feel, how will the ancestor know that we are performing it for them or not? Well, our Shastras have got answers for many of these questions, or for all of these questions. It's not that we are somebody who is very intelligent and asking some question which nobody has ever asked. No. Many before us have asked this and many more questions, and for all of them, the Shastras have the answers. In fact, while I was trying to gather more information on this, I have to definitely give credit to many sources from whom I have gathered information, from learned speakers, from knowledgeable people, and I should definitely mention Sri Sundara Krishna Swami's blog on the Call of the Vedas, where a very, very beautiful explanation of this Mahalaya has been given, and also the talk by Sri Rajagopal Gandapadi also, he has brought it out in very many ways so that even the person, the average person, can understand it so well. So I am trying to actually spread this information for those who might not have had access to these or who might not have known the language, so that more and more people can understand the meaning and significance of this Pitrupaksha period. In fact, in a lighter vein, I remember reading from Paramacharya's Devatan Kural, somebody asking him, if you pour the till and water here, how am I sure that it is going to reach my ancestors or my forefathers? And he says, he gives a very simple example. Of course, it is something which was written quite a few years ago, where they used to send money orders. He says, imagine your son is studying in a college which is quite far away. Let us say the person was in Tamil Nadu and the son was studying in a college in New Delhi, and he had to send his money for paying his fees for the student. He had to just go to the post office and send a money order. So he is not actually taking the money and going to the college and depositing it there. He hands it over at the post office and then it gets transferred over there, and it is the son receives it. In today's world, we all know, we are also familiar with different forms of payment, be it through Paytm or all your NEFT and so other forms of payment. Do we actually go and deposit the money? Everything is online. So this also is just a comparison. When you do something here, you say the mantras, you utter the mantras with faith and dedication, and definitely they will be transferred and you will see the results of their blessings. As I have said earlier, this is a period of thanksgiving and gratitude to our near and dear ones who have passed away. Our very existence, our very physical body, from where did we get it? From our parents, from their genes. And then the mother has brought us up. We have grown because of their love and care. And the parents, the father has given us education, the mother has given us food and grown our physical body and also taught us so many things in life. It is a very small thing on our part to just show this gratitude. And this can be done in many ways. Some people perform an elaborate ritual and you call many people and offer them food to eat and prepare a wide meal, a large number of dishes. If you are not able to do that, it doesn't matter. You can even do a Hiranya Shraddha where we don't offer cooked food, but we offer raw food, uncooked food. That is, you give the person, you donate some rice and vegetables and maybe some jaggery and you offer it in as an offering. Okay, if you are not able to do that also, all you need is a little bit of til, that is sesame seeds and some water. And you can just offer it as an oblation, as a sign of gratitude to your ancestors by reciting the particular mantras if you know them, or you invite a Brahmin over who will help you in performing this. So during this 15-day period, please try to live a disciplined life. Abstain from any outside food as far as possible. Try to eat only home cooked food. Avoid onions and garlic, and preferably, if it is possible, sit on the floor and eat. I know there are exceptions to every rule. This is the general rules what I am telling you. And have a mental condition of thanksgiving and gratitude. It is interesting to note that the yearly Shraddha is performed only for your own ancestors in your own lineage. But during this Pitru Paksha, we offer this gratitude and thanksgiving even to those who are not our immediate parents or grandparents. It might be your father's brother, or it might be your sister's husband. It might be even a friend who was very dear to you, and maybe his children are not performing the Shraddha for him when after his death. It can be even to so many other people, to all nature, all around you. And during this period, this is the time we perform the Tarpanam for all these departed souls. To quote from Sri Sundara Krishna Swami's blog post, see, Advaita philosophy teaches us that there is only one entity which presents herself or which manifests itself in this universe as various names and forms. Now we know some names and forms as our parents or our grandparents in this birth. What about those in our previous births or certain people in your family history whom you have not seen? For example, I knew my mother, I knew my father, but my father's parents, that is my paternal grandparents, I had always only seen a photograph of them. I have never met them because they had already passed away before I was born. Does it mean I don't have any connection to them? So why should I be interested in doing anything for them at all? So this is a question which might arise in the minds of a few, and here that how can they be with me? Doesn't it sound ridiculous? This is what the present generation asks. Think for a while. Today, all of us accept genetics and the amount of research that goes on, and just think about what happens inside a mother's womb. The fetus must generate neurons at the rate of 2500 neurons per second from the first day itself. In 90 days, it must have produced 2.4 billion neurons so that the baby is born with a well-developed brain. And this activity is regulated by DNA and chromosomes. Now, from where did we get these chromosomes? From where did we get this DNA? They are a gift from our ancestors. You got it from your parents from their parents, and so on. So every generation has contributed to what you are today. So there itself you see the connect between you and your ancestral lineage. And that is why your thanksgiving or gratitude to them matters a lot. Traditionally, we offer this prayer of gratitude to 3 generations who above us who have departed from this earth, and we perform what is called as a tarpanam, and we say tarpayami. Tarpa comes from tripta. Tripta means being contented. So what could be better than telling your ancestors, I am happy, I am contented, I am thankful for what you have given me, and I am thankful for what I am. This is the ultimate prayer, ultimate thanksgiving, and ultimate form of gratitude which every human being needs to show to his ancestors. Thank you for watching the video. We'll meet yet again in many more interesting videos, especially with the Navratri coming up. Jaya Jaya Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara.